Okay, we're back. Zero escape, virtue's last reward. We're on the FI path. We need the ID and password for this computer, which I do have. Because I reviewed all of our previous gameplay footage. I had to, because I didn't remember writing all this down, but... Alright. All this dramatic stuff. It's gonna ask me for a user ID and a password. Alright. Using the mouse. This is how you spell it. Kurashiki? Is that how you spell it? Yes, Kurashiki. And the password, because we found it on the old woman's card, is Jumpy Doll. Accepted. I'm not gonna.
Sigma, look!
You're. Temioji's grimacing over on the side. I thought Temioji was saying that when I voiced that, but I'm voicing Sigma, not Tim. Alright. For anyone who hasn't been paying attention, Tenmyoji is the much older version of Junpei from the first game, and the old woman who was murdered at the beginning of the game is Akane Kurashiki.
Her name is Akane Kurashiki.
The woman he's been looking for his entire life.
Been looking for her for a very long time.
His entire life, from his early 20s. And now he is an old man, a visibly old man. He walked toward her. Slowly, carefully, almost as if he were afraid of scaring her away, he reached out.
She's a hologram.
Temioji squeezed his eyes shut.
Akane.
He closed his hand around empty air and let it fall to his side. There was a moment of sad silence, and then she began to speak.
I see you finally arrived. I've been waiting for you. Well, I suppose that's slightly inaccurate. What you see now is a holographic message I recorded before you came here.
You could have recorded the audio in a much higher fidelity. I mean, I understand the visuals are going to be hazy and holographic, but man, audio. We have much better audio technology than you sounding like you're coming from an AM radio.
Unfortunately, this means I will not be able to answer your questions, at least not directly. I hope you will understand. Now, where to begin?
Yes, please.
Probably have a great many questions.
Absolutely.
What day is it? Where are we? Who is Zero? And what does he have to do with Akane Kurashiki? But I imagine there is one question that rises above all the others. Why were we brought here? The answer to that is simple. Everything that has happened here is part of our plan. All of this was required for the success of the AB project. I assume you heard the name by now, at least. In any event, you are all needed in order to execute our plan. The Nonary game was necessary for the same reason.
Okay. Okay.
Your question now, I imagine, is just what is this AB project? The answer to that is also simple. Allow me to explain. We created the AB project for one purpose: to transport the consciousnesses of two people into the past. Those two people are you, Sigma, and you, Phi.
Wait, what? What do you mean the past? The moment the words were out of my mouth, I realized no one there could answer the question. Not Phi, not Temioji, and certainly not a pre-recorded hologram.
Have you figured out what this room is? I assume you saw the Q on the door. It stands for quantum. That makes this the quantum room.
It took me a moment to realize she'd changed subjects without even pausing. There was nothing we could do, of course, but I still felt a twinge of frustration.
Take a look at the rear of the room. Do you see that large enclosure? That houses our quantum computer. The systems that control this entire facility run on that machine. That includes the construct you refer to as Zero Junior, as well as the golems. All of them do their thinking in that box. Isn't that strange, though? It seems contrary to how we perceive the world. The body, the thing that you see and interact with, is somewhere else. But the mind and all its thoughts are in this box. Perhaps it isn't so strange, though. Perhaps humans are the same, with our minds and thoughts existing separate from our bodies. Our core is in our head, of course. We all have individual brains, think individual thoughts, and act according to individual wills. That makes communication difficult, though. So, we're forced to rely on inefficient mediums, like language, photographs, nonverbal cues, etc., to transmit information. Each one of us is an individual, and we have no direct connection to anyone else. But is that really true? In the dimensions we are most familiar with, yes, it is. If we look at things from another higher dimension, however, we may all be connected after all. Like
The morphogenic
branches
field?
of a tree, or a rhizome. Imagine a horizontal cross-section of the root system of a large tree. All you can see are the spots where the roots intersect the plane of your cross-section. In the two dimensions you see, the roots all appear to be individual things with no connection to one another. But this isn't the case. If you expand your view and look at the root system in 3 dimensions instead of only 2, you see the truth. All the roots join together at the trunk. In 2 dimensions, they appear to be separate. But if you look at the roots from a 3rd higher dimension, you see things that might appear to be separate from one another in 3 dimensions could be connected to one another if you look at them in 4 dimensions. Doesn't that at least seem like it could be a possibility? I believe that is how human consciousness actually works. Well, I'm not the only one, I suppose. Zero and I share that belief.
Morphogenetic field theory.
Temioji mumbled something that sounded like nonsense. I opened my mouth to ask him what he meant, but Akane was already talking again.
Now, when I talk about a 4th dimension, I'm referring to the 4th dimension used in Minkowski space-time.
Okay.
Let's start with a single dimension, where all that exists is a point. Connect points to one another, and you have a line. In 1 dimension, the only surface you can create is that, a line. But move to 2 dimensions, and create more lines, and you can create shapes. These are 2 Now you have a three-dimensional surface, which encompasses a volume of space. Connect three-dimensional objects to one another, and you formed a four-dimensional object, which encompasses a volume of both space and time. It is on that fourth dimensional axis that our minds are connected. If that was true, then what would prevent anyone from sending their consciousness backward or forward in time? That theory is the foundation of the AB project. The A represents after, and the B represents before. It probably sounds silly to you. A
No.
ridiculous story made up by a bad old woman. But look at what's happened to you. You've seen many different worlds and timelines, haven't you, Sigma? And what about you, Phi? I know you have too. Am I wrong? Tenmyoji should know what I'm talking about as well. I believe you experienced something very similar nearly half a century ago. You sent your consciousness to the past to help save a little girl's life. It was a long time ago, but perhaps you still remember.
Yeah, of course I do. How can I forget? That little girl was you, Akane.
Suddenly it felt like Phi and I were outsiders trespassing on something we had no right to see. Tenmyoji's face was taut with emotions as he looked into Akane's eyes. It seemed almost like she was looking back at him.
Now, unfortunately, my time is up. The final stage of the project will begin very soon. I need to go prepare. The next time we meet, I can tell you the rest of the story. So come and find me. I'll be waiting. One last thing. The cat in the box. Is it alive? Or is it dead? Sigma? Phi? You will decide its fate. Goodbye.
Wait! Akane, wait!
Oh, Tenmyoji. I can almost see you. You don't need to worry. Everything is going to be okay. I will see you again one day. I promise. But I'm going to have to ask you to wait just a little longer.
Wait! Akane!
And then she was gone. Tenmyoji collapsed to his knees, his back hunched and shaking. I saw tears land on the white-knuckled fists he pressed against his thighs. I kept quiet. What was there to say? Fine, I looked at one another and nodded silently. With a shaking hand, Tenmyoji pulled a photograph out of his pocket. It was a picture of a girl. After all that we'd been through, her smile was enough to break your heart. We made our way to the warehouse on floor A and met up with the others. It took only a few minutes to decide to head to the infirmary. As soon as we arrived, we began to treat Alice and Quark for Radical 6. Gave Luna the Accelavir that I'd found in Q room. She quickly prepared it and injected Alice and Quark.
Thank goodness. It will take some time for them to recover completely, but they should be fine. Good.
Indeed.
Thank you, Luna. And thanks for finding the medicine, you guys. Thank you so much.
Don't sweat it.
No need to thank us.
Temioji said nothing, just walked over to Quark's unconscious body. He took the small boy's hand in his own and held it tight. I could see tears at the corners of his eyes as he turned away from us. Suddenly I remembered Dio. Where had he gone? It didn't take me long to find him. He was sprawled unconscious on the floor beneath the sink. Handcuffs?
Oh, we found those in the crew quarters. Before you returned, we went to check on the bomb in room 2, and we found them there. Of course, the bomb was indeed turned off. Thank you again for dealing with them. You are, quite literally, lifesavers.
Thank you, Kay.
You have my eternal gratitude.
I coughed awkwardly and looked pointedly around the room. I glanced over at Fi, to see she was doing the same thing. After that, we headed back to the Flore warehouse to play the AB game. Specifically me, Fi, Kay, and Luna. Clover and Temioji decided to remain in the infirmary, just in case something happened with Alice, Quark, and Dio. Luna would represent Clover's team. With Quark and Dio sleeping, Kay would represent their team by default. Which left me, Fi, and Temioji. You should vote.
No, I'll let you handle it. I chose Betray in the last round. You probably don't trust me right now.
What? That doesn't matter now.
Excuse me. I apologize for interrupting, but I think you should be the one to vote in the next round, Fi.
Why?
You already have 9 BP. There's no reason for you to choose Betray now. You see?
Hey, you're acting like I might actually try and betray her.
Not necessarily.
What does it matter what he's suggesting? We're almost there. We just have to play the AB game 3 more, then we can all get 9 points. That means each representative has to choose ally all 3 times.
Okay, I'll vote. You sure you're alright with this, Sigma?
Yeah, I trust you. Enter the star key.
Shall we open the doors?
An ambidex gate has been 45.
Oh, right. We have to wait for the deadline.
Oh, well, we could vote earlier, but then each voter would be stuck inside the AB room for 45 minutes.
Okay, let's go back to the infirmary.
I agree. Please, lead the...
Luna and Kay set off toward the yellow door. I was about to follow when...
Hold on.
Why did the music stop?
I just remembered something. The AB
What?
room on the left, in one of the other histories, she...
Oh yeah, you're right. Connie's body was in there. What does this mean? Why didn't we find her body this time?
Maybe because she wasn't murdered.
But how? When did history change?
Do you remember what Akane said?
The cat in the box. Is it alive or is it dead, Sigma?
The Schrodinger's cat thing.
Exactly.
I wonder what she meant about us deciding its
Perhaps
fate.
she was saying her own fate wasn't decided yet. The history where she's alive and the history where she's murdered are both real right now.
What? No, that's impossible. I've already opened the box. We opened the door to this AB room and there was no body.
No, we haven't opened the box. We haven't found a body. But we haven't found her alive yet either. In other words, we haven't actually observed her. The hologram was a recording from before this game started.
The next time we meet, I can tell you the rest of the story. So come and find me. I'll be waiting.
Where was Akane right now? Where was she waiting for us? Sorry, I have a case of the hiccups. Or what if she wasn't anywhere now? What if she was waiting for us in another timeline? Or what if she was waiting for us in the past? Was that even possible? If she was, what would that mean? To be continued. Alright, a new destination has been added to the flowchart. Let's save. Before the beginning. Did I get to the end over here? Alright, let's find out where we're going if we're going over here. AB room passed. Do you wish to jump? Yes. Ow, 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 ow. Damn it, it feels like my head's gonna explode. Wait. Where the hell am I? Looks like an elevator,
No,
but...
this is one of the AB rooms.
God, who the hell are you? What the hell's an AB room?
Damn, I guess you did lose your memory after all.
Memory? Memory. Memory. Wait. I remember. You're Phi. She grinned. When is
Check
this?
your bracelet.
It's a red pair. BP is 3.
Mine's the same.
This mean this is the beginning of the game? We've come back to where we first woke up in the AB room?
No, not quite. I think we woke up a little earlier this time.
How do you know?
Push the buttons on the side of your bracelet.
2 hours? 15 minutes?
We didn't wake up this long before the primary doors opened last time.
Okay.
I think we're about an hour early.
Interesting. Wait a minute. You're right.
Akane might still be alive. We got back before Dio killed her, I think.
Then.
Right. We're here for one reason.
To stop her from getting killed.
Exactly.
Let's move. We need to get out of here
Don't need to
fast.
tell me twice. Let's go.
Interesting. I forgot about this part. Yeah. Star, Moon, Sun. No, that's the wrong password. We need the other one. Moon, Moon, Star. Good work. Hurry up and... Damn it, key. How the hell? Just shut up and do it. Cracker. Yeah, I know. Just do it. Alright. Hey, you pushed the button. By me, you were taking too long. We're on a schedule here. Fine, I climbed up through the hatch and out into the top of the AB room. It took us only a moment to spot them. Connie. Behind her was Dio. He was moving quickly and quietly, a knife glinting in his right hand. Shit. Hold on 1 second. Alright. There was no time to yell to her. I scrambled down from the top of the AB room. I wasn't following me. When I looked back, she was still standing on the roof. Fi, what the hell are you doing? Down here and... Before I could finish, she moved. She ran across the roof, launched herself into the air. What the?
He's fine. Just unconscious.
I bent down and held my fingers to the front of his mouth. He was still breathing.
I don't think he saw me. He probably has no idea what happened to me.
Going down like a sack of potatoes.
Coming.
Absolutely. I heard footsteps come to a stop right in front of us. I looked up.
So you came. I've been waiting for you. You're here to hear the rest, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I haven't played through like 40 plus hours of this game to not know what the fuck is going on. Sorry. Excuse my language. Wait. Just wait a minute. What the hell is your deal? How can you be so calm? If you hadn't shown up just now, you'd...
Have been stabbed in the heart by this young man and died. Yes. Although, that reminds me, I haven't thanked you yet. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate you saving me.
I certainly hope so. Alright, Akane, we've gone through hell and high water to get here. Please lay some truth out for us. Please, please, please. It's what we've been playing this entire game for. And it's what we desire so very, very, very much. Please. Enlighten us. What?
Hold on. How do you know about being stabbed by Dio? Are you an Esper too?
Yes. Indeed I am. I am able to jump through time, just like you.
Then what the hell were you thinking? If you knew he was going to stab you, why were you going to let him do it?
Because I had to.
You what?
Think back. Why are you here?
Why am I here?
If I hadn't been killed by Dio, no one else would have been murdered. Consequently, your own abilities would never have manifested. I did explain, didn't I? The purpose of the AB project was to send the two of you to the past. Or your minds, at least. In order for that to happen, some death was necessary.
Some death was necessary.
The human brain is faced with danger. Its processing speed increases. Information is processed more quickly, and time almost seems to slow. A few seconds can feel like an eternity. Unfortunately, that in itself isn't enough to send oneself through time. The amplitude of the consciousness is simply too small. In order to increase the amplitude, we need to slow down the brain before the increase happens. It's a little like a slingshot. You pull back on the rubber band and then let go. The potential energy you stored in the band is released and converted into kinetic energy. That's what fires the bullet out of the slingshot. Now, while a slingshot can only fire in one direction, your mind isn't similarly limited. When the bullet of your consciousness is fired from the slingshot of your brain, it travels past the three-dimensional world and into the four-dimensional one.
I love the lip flaps.
Time is no longer fixed. In other words, you can travel to the future, the past, whenever you like. Your consciousness has been released from the three-dimensional cage.
Three-dimensional cage.
In order for that to happen, I had to infect you with Radical 6.
Wait, what? Whoa, whoa, wait.
We were infected with Radical 6?
Yes.
Yes.
Don't you remember, Sigma? Luna should have told you about it in another timeline.
Are you sure? Infecting all of these people with such a horrible disease?
Every single one of you has been infected. Well, apart from Luna, of course. Unfortunately, it was necessary. We needed to slow your minds in order to store up your potential energy. Then we provided a dire situation that would accelerate your processing speed. The result is what you are now experiencing.
The Nonary game?
Your consciousness now occupies four-dimensional space-time.
Interesting.
Even that, however, wasn't enough. You had the ability to travel, but your memories could easily be lost during the trip. If the project was to succeed, you had to be able to retain everything you learned in each reality. That was the reason you were forced to jump so many times. With each jump, your ability to remember improved. Eventually, you would be able to retain everything. That is why we made you play the A-B game. That was why you had to select different chromatic doors. By forcing specific choices, we could cause you to make more jumps.
I get it. I think I finally understand. Well, okay. There are a lot of things I don't understand, but all of what you just told me makes sense. You did all of this so that fine, I could jump through four-dimensional space with our memories intact, right?
Yes.
But why did you need us to do that? People have died for this. I mean, let's count how many different ways people died. Murder, antimatter explosion, suicide. I've died, so has Phi. So have you. So why would you do all this? What does it matter that Phi and I jumped through time?
Haven't I told you? Death was unavoidable. You are all destined to die. Sacrifices had to be made for the sake of the project.
That's cold. I already know all that. What I'm asking you is why? What is so goddamn important that it's worth all this?
I'm sure you'll figure it out eventually.
What? Just when is eventually?
In a future not very far from now.
Bullshit. That's not good enough. Why can't you tell us now? Instead of answering, Akane knelt down next to Dio and picked up his knife off the floor.
I'm going to keep this with me.
Don't change the subject.
But it's almost time.
What? What are you talking about? We've got plenty of time.
No. In a few moments, you'll return to the original timeline.
What?
This is the way it has to be. Don't fight it. Lagomorph.
Yes.
Lagomorph?
You call him Zero Jr.
Rabbit
His
shape.
official designation is Lagomorph.
Rabbit shape.
Lagomorph, this is an order. Unlock my bracelet.
Compliance.
Now, everything is in place. I have put the bracelet onto Dio. All we have to do is place his body in the 5th AB room, the second one from the right.
That's the one Quark is in, right?
Correct. I will move him. I will also put your bodies back into the 3rd AB room. Once that's done, I will reset its puzzle to an unsolved state.
Why do you need to do all that?
To recreate the history that you remember. Your consciousness is about to leave your body and return to the future.
The
Your
future?
body will be emptied, and your other consciousness will jump back in. If your bodies aren't back in the 3rd AB room by then, it would be bad.
Like paradox bad? They don't explain this one too
So
much.
you're saying some version of us is going to wake up in that room and repeat the same history again? Well, I guess this could actually be our 2nd or 3rd time.
You are exactly correct. Lastly, I am going to leave this with you.
She paused and pulled something out of her pocket. It was a small key attached to a string.
I'll tie it onto your ankle so that you won't lose it. All right, Sigma?
What's it say on there? Screenshot.
Tu fui ego eris.
It's Latin. It means, what you are, I was. What I am, you will be.
Yes.
What am I supposed to do with this?
It will help you meet someone who's very important.
What?
Go. Return to the future.
The future?
You won't be alone. I will be at your side, watching over you.
What?
Now hurry.
Wait, I still... What? New destination has been added to the flowchart. Save? Why would I not save at this point? Alright, we've played through this prologue and escaped the room because we already had the escape stuff. And we played through every single other permutation of this chart. So we're going to jump here. Absolutely.
Looks like you're awake.
In the infirmary? This is the infirmary?
Why are we here?
Do you know what happened at the AB gate?
No, please tell us, Kay.
Kay and I went back to the infirmary, but
We waited and waited, and the two of you never returned.
So we went to the warehouse to check on.
We found you passed out in front of the AB rooms.
Kay and I hurried back here.
I looked over at Phi and met her eyes. Do you remember what happened just now?
You mean what happened a long time ago?
Yeah. You got him pretty good, huh?
Huh. Yeah, I remember all right.
Hey, what are you guys talking about?
Quark's up? Quark.
What am I? Chopped liver?
Alice?
Back among the conscious and not psychotic, huh?
Conscious and not psychotic.
Yeah, thanks. Grandpa told me what you did. Thanks for finding the medicine for us.
No problem. All in a day's work. Although, I wouldn't mind a little swimsuit action. Okay, out of all of Sigma's pervy stuff, I'll let this one slide.
You're grabbing at straws here, aren't you?
Yes, absolutely, but you know, hey, I wasn't talking to Quark. That was an offer for Alice.
Not really my point.
Thank you for putting me in my place, Phi.
Oh, whatever. Forget about that. Now that you guys are awake, all we gotta do is open the number 9 door.
Huh?
What are you talking about?
Look at your bracelet.
Huh? 10? I have 10 BP?
I've got 15 BP.
15?
That means I got 6 more points while I was out.
How?
You've been asleep for more than 2 hours. We've played the AB game 3 times.
3 times?
Yes. Of course, the color and group assignments were shuffled around each time. But no matter who voted, everyone chose Ally.
Oh, this is the best case scenario.
Now all of us have enough to leave.
Let's get the fuck out of here. Awesome. Best case scenario. I was stunned. How had everyone cooperated long enough to raise all of our BP to past 9? Was it because Akane hadn't been killed? Without a death to start things off, maybe we'd been less suspicious of one another. 1 second. Okay, the bombs have had something to do with it. We'd all joined forces against Dio, and Fine had been able to disarm all of them. All of us had banded together against a common enemy and overcome a tremendous threat. Perhaps that had strengthened our bond. Which, I had to admit, would be somewhat ironic. After all, Dio had planted the bombs that forced us all to work together against him. This must have been what Akane was talking about.
Haven't I told you? Death was unavoidable. Sacrifices had to be made for the sake of the project.
Come on, let's go! Let's open the door and get out of here!
Wait. What about him? After some discussion, we decided to leave Dio behind. Alice was the only holdout. She complained about wanting to take him back to her superiors, but after I mentioned they'd come back to investigate after we escaped and deal with Dio, she reluctantly complied.
All right, let's get going.
Warehouse A. Everyone with over 9 BP. Whoops. I hit the microphone arm. Everybody ready? I'm gonna open it.
Yes, just get on with it.
Everyone swallowed and nodded. I grabbed the lever and pulled it down.
The number 9 door has been opened. It will remain open for 9 seconds.
Alright, everybody, let's move. I didn't need to tell them twice. The room inside was clearly a loading elevator. It looked sort of like a large plate on top of a huge pedestal. We ran onto the center of the plate and turned around. The number 9 door stood wide open.
1, 0. The number 9 door is closing. The number 9 door has closed.
Okay.
This ends the Nonary game. Thank you for your participation.
Alright.
As the game is over, all doors other than the number 9 door have been unlocked.
Looks like we did it.
Yes, we should keep moving.
Beyond the door was a wide hallway that ended in a very solid wall. To the left, we found a very familiar looking door. Pushed it open and went in. The pressure exchange chamber.
You know what this place is?
1 second. Okay. Yeah, sort of. This whole facility is pressurized, apparently. I think the idea is to keep the air outside and consequently the virus from getting inside. That means if we want to go out, we have to decompress so we match the outside air pressure. This room here is where you prepare for going into the actual pressure exchange room. You see all those suits along the wall? I figure we need to put these on and head to the decompression room downstairs.
Whoa! Hold on a minute. You're saying the air outside is full of that horrible virus?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Of course, according to Akane, we were already infected with Radical 6, so the whole room seemed a little pointless.
Why? How did all this happen?
Well...
Did they?
No, that's not possible.
We've come this far. We can't turn back now.
No, we certainly cannot.
Let's go outside. There's no way to know what's really going on until we do.
All right.
No one else objected. We all donned the protective suits and headed downstairs to the decompression room. As soon as we were all inside, the process began. As soon as we were all in, through my helmet, I could hear the soft hiss of air being sucked out of the room. We stood there for several minutes waiting for the process to finish. At last it did, but we heard the door begin to open. Beyond it was another decompression chamber. We repeated the process 2 more times before we reached the final door and opened it. The dead, bleak landscape wasn't a surprise for me. I'd seen it before, in another timeline. The others hadn't, however, and although I couldn't see their faces through the visors of their helmets, I heard more than a few gasps over the radio. For a few long moments, we just stood there, astonished.
Where the hell are we? The desert, I guess? I figured that out. I mean, which one? I don't know, but I think I know what day it is. Look at the moon. It's red, right? That means today's the total lunar eclipse. So, remember the astronomy magazine in the lounge? Well, the next eclipse like this was gonna be on December 31st, 2028. So... Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Are you suggesting we were sleeping for a week after we were abducted? I think so.
Whatever we were must have been far away from any city. Wherever we were must have been far away from any city. The air was cleaner than I had ever seen. The stars, the sky was full of them. More stars than I'd ever seen in my life. I could even spot the hazy arm of the Milky Way. But the most striking feature was the moon. It was blood red and massive. Much bigger, in fact, than I remembered it being. Then, as I watched, the black spot began to move across its surface. It was hard to see details, but it looked circular. The spot continued to move across the moon, heading for the right edge. What's that?
Well, the moon's shadow, actually.
Moon's shadow? I frowned. That didn't make any sense.
Zero told me to stay quiet. I think he was worried I'd spill the beans on his operation.
Wait, what?
He said if I didn't toe the line, he wouldn't just kill me. He'd kill Quark, too.
Wait, what?
And I agreed, like an idiot, and brought Quark with me. Just so I could see her.
Connie?
Such an idiot.
You are.
So, that being the case, might as well start with this. I meant what I said before. That up there is the moon's shadow.
What the hell are you
Think
saying?
about it. If that's the moon's shadow,
Wait, what?
Anybody in the black spot down there is looking up at the moon covering the sun.
No, no way. If that's the Earth, then where the hell are we?
The moon, of course. This is the lunar surface. We were just inside a moon base. No way. No, you've got to be lying. How do you expect us to believe that? This can't be the moon. Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. Besides, if this was the moon, how do you explain the gravity? The moon only has 1/6 of the Earth's gravity. So what's this?
Here we go. She picked up a rock and dropped it.
See? That looked perfectly normal.
Yes, it looked that way.
And here we go. Luna.
You were right about the gravity in a way. I was one of the people who knew this wasn't Earth.
Alright.
Well, I suppose I'm not people, if we're being honest, but
Excuse me? What?
please just listen. Alice, you were infected with Radical 6. Then we gave you the Excelavir, which cured you. The Radical 6 isn't completely gone, though. Some of its symptoms stick around for a while.
What symptoms?
Well, Radical 6 can slow down your brain's processing speed by the root of 1/6. It can take a while for your brain to get back up to speed. Every one of us has been infected. In other words, all of our brains have been processing information at a much lower speed. If you evaluated the root of 1/6, you'll get a number close to 0.408. That means our brains are running at something slightly less than half speed. As you said before, the moon's gravity is about 1/6 that of Earth's. The time that it takes for an object to fall is inversely proportional to the square root of the gravitational acceleration. Since the gravity is lower on the moon, that means the time increases. I guess that's a little technical. Let me give you an example. Say you drop an apple from a height of 4.9 meters. It will take approximately 1 second to hit the ground. On the moon, however, that time would be 1 second times root 6, which would be approximately 2.45 seconds. I used 4.9 meters because it matches up with the acceleration of gravity nicely, but it could be anything. The gravity constant is, well, a constant. You could drop something from 10 centimeters or 10 meters and it would be the same. Does that make sense? So now we've established that on the moon, things fall root 6 times slower than they do on Earth. That being the case, what would happen if someone's brain slowed down by root 1/6? To them, 2.45 seconds would feel like 1 second. 4.9 seconds would feel like 2. But it's not hypothetical. That's what's been happening to every one of us.
Wait, you're saying that's the reason we didn't notice the weaker gravity?
Are you sure you didn't notice anything? Think back. Huh? You and Sigmund Phi said something about it in the lounge. About how you felt weird.
It's kind of like my body isn't really mine. I'm sort of floating. Like that.
It seemed insane, but what Luna said made sense. In fact, it explained Phi's apparently superhuman strength quite well.
Wait, this is crazy. That can't possibly be Earth out there. Look at it. I've seen photos of Earth and it's blue and green and beautiful.
No.
Don't tell me. 30?
Still no.
And just what year is this?
It's 74. 2074.
No, that's insane. What would mean? That would mean we were abducted more than 45 years ago.
I don't blame you if you don't believe me, but it's the truth.
How can you be sure?
It's not that hard. Quark and I left Earth on January 23rd, 2074. Solar eclipses are easy to predict. We've known that there'd be one on the 27th for a long time. That's just science. Nobody can change that.
But why is the Earth red?
That's a long story. About 45 years ago, on April 13th, 2029, there were 18 annihilation reactors operating in various parts of the world. On the 13th, all 18 of them went up, all at the same time.
Wait,
The
what?
explosion was about 180,000 times as powerful.
But why?
I suppose it started a few months before that. The government had a test site for a future Mars mission out in the middle of Nevada.
Tell me more.
On December 31st, 2028, there was an accident. Well, accident doesn't quite convey the right sense of the thing. And the point is, Radical 6 claimed its first victims there, then escaped. Didn't take long for it to spread to the rest of the world. Like Luna explained, the virus slows your brain down, but eventually, it also makes you kill yourself. Pretty soon, the bodies started to pile up. Some people would take a dive off a building or shoot themselves in the head. You know, the classics.
The classics.
But for some, it was poison, or fire, or asphyxiation, or the noose. Plenty of people jumped in front of trains or cars. One pilot on a passenger airline drove his plane into the ground. Most forms of transportation ground to a halt pretty fast. That meant food couldn't get distributed, and thousands of people who weren't even infected died from starvation. Everywhere you went, there were just piles of corpses, covered in flies and rats and crows. I don't know what hell's like, but I imagine it's a lot like that. After a while, people who managed to avoid getting infected started trying to get in touch with one another. They got a hold of some radios and organized a couple meetings. There was only one thing to discuss, of course. How could they get rid of Radical 6? The answer, they decided, was purification. They figured they could just roast the surface of the Earth and that'd kill the virus off for good. On April 13th, 2029, they put their plan into effect. That plan was to detonate all 18 annihilation reactors.
Wait, what?
Now the truth is, that's mostly just rumor. Nobody really knows what happened, but I've got my own theories. I think that the bombers had already been infected, and when they died, they took billions with them. The ultimate if I die, you're coming with me gesture, I suppose. I bet you money they'd all lost it long before they got to the reactors. Killing most of the world, no matter how bad things had gotten, was not a sane plan. Even if it wasn't directly responsible, Radical 6 killed most of the people on Earth.
Wow.
Anyway, why it happened isn't that important. The point is, it happened.
Yeah, it did happen.
You've heard of nuclear winter? Well, that's basically what we got. The explosions threw a ton of crap up into the stratosphere, where it joined up with smoke and ash from all the fires.
All right.
Blotted out the sun for 7 years.
7 years?
Plants withered and animals died by the millions. The few humans who were left banded together to survive. They were rough times. Eventually they were over, though. The sky cleared and the sun came back. Plants started blooming again, and the animals that hadn't died out completely began to
Awesome.
Things weren't quite back to normal, though. It's been 45 years now, but there's still quite a bit of dust and ash in the air. That's what you're seeing. You know why a sunset's red? Well, this is the same thing. Blue and green light have short wavelengths, and they scatter when they run into debris in the air. Red light, on the other hand, has a longer wavelength, which means it'll get a lot farther when the air's dirty. So there you are. The Earth looks red because that's the only color of light that can make it through the atmosphere.
Wow. Wow. I was speechless, as am I, the player. What could I possibly say? There was no reason for Tenmyoji to lie to us. So we were standing on the moon, looking at the Earth. It was 2074. But why? Why were we there? Why were we then? I was so lost in thought, I barely noticed Fi's approach.
Hey, Sigma. I think I figured something out.
Apologies, I think I have the hiccups. Fi, what did you figure out? Hiccup. A window popped up in the inside of my helmet with, in quotes, whisper in the corner. She seemed to be using a circuit only we could hear. Yeah? What is it?
Figured out why there's an extra E.
An extra E in the Memento Mori if the ninth lion ate the sun?
Yeah, the one on floor B. I think it's an anagram, just like on floor A.
Alright, tell me the anagram. Savant woman?
God damn it, Sigma! Knock it off! Memento Mori if the ninth lion ate the sun. If you rearrange the letters, the man on the moon rules the infinite time.
Okay.
See?
No, that is not something a normal human being would ever process. The fact that you have the ability to process anagrams in your head like that means you are some kind of savant. The fact that you assume that everybody else has that kind of processing power in their head is just asinine.
You need 6 E's to get that. So they stuck an extra one in ninth.
The man on the moon rules the infinite time.
I think it's a message for us from Zero Senior and Akane. Remember what she was telling us?
We created the AB project for one purpose. To transport the consciousnesses of 2 people into the past. Those 2 people are you, Sigma, and you, Vi.
So, what are you getting at?
My God, you're slow.
Jesus, Fi, I mean, we are both jumping through time at different trajectories and different times. Would you lighten up just a little bit?
You don't get it? They're saying we rule the infinite time. Infinite time. They weren't just talking about having us jump a couple hours. I think they're planning to send us back. Way back.
Wait a minute. You're saying you think they're going to send us back to 45 years?
Yeah. I'd bet on it.
So the ultimate purpose of the AB project is to send us back in time to that catastrophe that Tenmyoji was talking about?
So,
That doesn't make sense, though. I mean, we came from that same time period before it actually. So why bring us here and then send us back?
well, Akane should be able to tell us the rest. Let's go pay her a visit.
Do you know where she is?
I've got an idea. Come on, think. Remember what she said when
Tu fui ego eris.
The grave. The one in the garden.
Well, come on. What are you waiting for? Let's go.
We turn around back into the pressure exchange chamber, the others following close behind.
What are you doing? Did you forget something?
We're going to have a talk with somebody.
Who?
You really need me to spell it out? The person behind all of this.
Akane.
What?
Yes. Let me accompany you then.
Wait. Why do you know about Akane?
I'll tell you when we get there.
Okay.
Now, if you please. I'm coming with you. You folks just said the magic word.
Akane.
I'm going to then. So am I.
Hey, is this Akane you're talking about?
Yeah, you know her real well.
We all know her pretty well from the previous game.
Wait, you're serious? What the hell is going on?
Ah, shut up. Just shut up and come if you want to. We don't need to do roll call. Once we get there, Akane can explain everything. With that, we headed back through the airlock.
Ah, clever. The number 9 door on floor A is shut forever once the game ends. Assuming Zero Jr. was telling the truth, of course. But the door on floor B...
Yeah. Thought we might be able to take the lift to it. And it looks like I was right.
Any idea where Akane might be?
Yeah, the grave.
You mean the grave in the garden?
Yes. Don't worry. I don't think she's buried there or anything. Chances are she's alive. Just in the grave. Anyway, let's move to the garden. Bee garden.
Is Akane really under here?
I think so.
What should we do? Are we gonna dig her out?
No, I don't think we'll have to do anything like that. See the keyhole in the grave? If I just insert this here, pull the key off my ankle and fit it into the keyhole. I twisted it to the right until I heard something unlock. The quiet grinding, the grave began to shift.
What is this? It doesn't look like a coffin.
Yeah, it's a treatment pod.
Oh my god.
It is, isn't it?
Glass on the cover had frosted over, making it opaque. You can see who or what was in it.
Let's see what's inside.
She grabbed a hold of the lever on the inside of the pod.
No good. I think it's locked.
What?
Treatment pod TP00. Stage 1. Defrosting complete.
We're in the flow of things. We are so far beyond the normal ending of the game that we're awesome.
Stage 2 will be complete in 10 minutes. Once stage 2 is complete, the lock will automatically disengage.
Right, cold sleep.
What?
Bots can put people into cold sleep. Use something called CAS to freeze human bodies without destroying their cells.
Ms. Akane's like an ice cube?
I think so.
We gotta wait till she melts?
Yeah.
So how about you tell us your story while we wait, Kay? Specifically, why do you know Akane?
I remembered
What do you remember?
everything. I was born and raised in this facility. It's called Rhizome 9.
Awesome.
A rhizome is an underground plant stem that spreads by sending out roots. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This facility is a little like a rhizome. Supposedly, that's why they call these installations that. The number comes from the facility's number. There are 54 rhizomes on the moon, and this is the 9th one. Well, I suppose the other ones don't really matter to you, do they? In any event, I grew up here with Akane and Zero Senior. I watched them create the AB project.
The AB project?
Yes. Its purpose is to send Phi and Sigma, or their consciousnesses at least, to the past.
Screenshot, because that is major plot points. Back 45 years, right?
Yes.
So, you want us to change history, huh? Go back and keep Radical 6 from getting out, and stop the reactors from exploding. That's our mission?
Well, not exactly.
Tell us then. What do you mean?
It's true that the ultimate goal of the project is to keep Radical 6 from spreading to the general population. But even if you do make it back, you won't be able to do much. By now, it's already too late.
Too late?
What do you
Let
mean?
me begin at the beginning.
Please do.
You might be thinking that Zero Senior and Akane were the ones who created all this, but that's not entirely correct. They only followed the histories they'd already seen. It
Okay.
was the only choice they had.
Okay.
Nothing less than the future of mankind is at stake.
Okay.
They need the two of you to jump through timelines while maintaining your memories.
So all of this.
That is why you had to play the AB game, and why the chromatic doors were necessary. By forcing multiple options, you could make numerous jumps. We speculated that jumping more would strengthen your memories. The puzzles were also there for a purpose. Some theories hold that a moment of insight when you solve a puzzle strengthens your connection to the fourth dimension.
Okay.
That was the reason for the puzzles.
Okay.
Your infection with Radical 6 was also a vital part of our plan.
Okay.
By slowing down your brain's processing speed, we can store your potential. With that energy stored up, we just had to provide a life or death situation to launch your consciousness into the fourth dimension. Like a bullet from a slingshot.
Okay.
Wait. Hold on just a minute here. You keep talking about Sigma and Phi, but what about the rest of us? Why did you bring us here?
That's simple. In earlier histories, you were all here in Rhizome 9. We needed you here to accurately replicate those histories. Although I suppose that's probably not a good enough explanation for you. In a sense, though, it is the truth. Our primary goal was to replicate history. The rest is... Yes, I suppose I should explain.
Please do.
Very well. I will try and do so in a way you can understand. First, Alice and Clover. They were abducted 45 years and 1 month ago, on December 22nd, 2028. The location is Earth, more specifically, Los Angeles, California. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
After being kidnapped, your bodies were sent to a facility under Akane's direction. You were placed in treatment pods and immediately put into cold sleep. 4 months later, you arrived at this facility. The date you finally arrived was April 14th, 2029. Your trip from Earth to this facility was aboard a spaceship powered by an annihilation engine. Following your arrival, your pods were placed in long-term storage. Does that make sense?
I mean, that is a lot of information to process.
We were sleeping in those pods here for 45 years?
Yes, in preparation for this day.
But why? What do you need us for?
You are an Esper, aren't you, Clover? I mean that you are able to access the fourth dimension. Am I wrong?
Did Akane tell you?
In a manner of speaking. As I've already explained, the purpose of this prod Espers are able to sort of resonate with one another. Which can amplify their power. You understand? This is why we brought you here, Clover.
What about me?
We needed your help, Alice, to deactivate Dio's bombs.
Huh?
Huh?
But I didn't do anything.
But you did. In another history, you were able to perform prime decomposition in the 25-digit integer that Dio had. Only you could do that sort of thing. Because of your feat of mathematics, we were about to determine that Dio had planted the bombs. Then we were able to question him and get the password for the number 31. Finally, we used that information to stop the bomb in this timeline. Without your help, Alice, it would have been reduced to nothing more than so much space dust. This history exists because of your presence.
Okay. She had one part to play.
Now, let me explain why we needed Tenmyoji and Quark. Tenmyoji is simple. We needed you for the same reason we needed Clover. You are able to access the fourth dimension. Almost half a century ago, you used that ability to save a young girl, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
We needed you to resonate with Sigma and Phi, so we brought you here. All it took was a messenger.
Do you want to see Akane? If you do, come with me. I was a fool and fell for it.
And you brought Quark with you. In fact, you insisted that he come.
Yeah, I know. I guess you were worried about leaving me alone, huh? He kept saying he couldn't run off to the moon and leave me behind.
I'm sorry, Quark. If I hadn't been so stupid and selfish, none of this would have happened to you. I never thought this would happen. Can you ever forgive me?
Oh, don't worry about it. I mean, I agreed to come with you. I thought the moon would be way more interesting than boring old Earth. What kid would turn that down?
We didn't see the messenger after we got on the ship. It was on autopilot. As soon as we got in, we headed straight for the moon during the trip. Zero told me to keep quiet once we got there. I don't remember anything after we landed.
Then there was a bunch of that white smoke, and we passed out, and when I woke up, I was in the AB room.
Now, Dio, his real name is Left, and he's the leader of a terrorist organization called the Myrmidon. He was ordered to come here. The Myrmidons are under the control of an organization called Free the Soul, which is Itwa's brother, who orchestrated the release of Radical 6 into the general population 45 years ago. Do you remember what Phi mentioned earlier? The ultimate purpose of the AB project is to change history and keep Radical 6 from being released. If we succeed, that would be bad for Brother and his organization. Our success would prevent them from creating the ideal world they're working toward. That is why Brother sent Left, his trusted lieutenant, to this facility. They needed to stop the AB project. So, Dio was given two tasks. The first was to eliminate Akane, the architect of the AB project. The second was to join the AB game and win it. If Dio won the game, the AB project would not be completed. At least, not in that timeline. In other words, in that world, the project would have been stopped. If things didn't go as planned, Dio was given a contingency plan. If you cannot murder Akane and win the game, destroy Rhizome 9. Hence, the bomb.
Can I ask you something?
Perhaps.
How did Brother know about the AB project?
He was also an Esper. We can set Brother aside for now, though. May I proceed? Excellent. That explains everyone, save two, Luna and myself. Sigma and Phi already know the truth about Luna. I don't believe I should reveal any more, however. I think it would be more appropriate if you could ask Luna yourselves at a later time. Would that be all right with you, Luna?
Yes, that's okay.
As for me, as I said before, I was born and raised here. The rest of you were brought to this facility, but I've never left. That makes me someone close to Zero Senior and Akane.
Hey, I've been wondering, who is Zero Senior?
You've already met him, Sigma. In another timeline.
Yeah. Well, I saw a hologram. I still don't know who he is.
Stage 2 is complete. TP-00 unlocking.
It looks like it's finished. Shall we open the pod?
Yeah, let's do it. All of us gathered around the pod. The glass was still covered with frost, hiding the contents.
Okay, let's get started then. Ready?
Phi laid her hand on the lever and looked around at us. I swallowed. Yeah, anytime.
All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
What? What? Suddenly my head was full of memories from the other timelines. I'd seen something like this before. The warehouse of floor B, in front of the white door. Kay was lying in front of me. I grabbed his mask and saw my own face. I'd never figured out who he really was. Why was there a man with my face underneath Kay's armor? It didn't make sense. After I'd seen him, I was injected with tubercularine, and that was the end of that. But wait. If the person in the pod was the same person I'd seen on the floor of the warehouse, who was wearing Kay's armor?
You finally noticed. Didn't I tell you? You won't be alone. I will be at your side, watching over you.
No. Oh my god, you're...
Yes, I am.
Akane Kurashiki.
It's you. June, I mean Akane, from... But you're old.
Yes, that's correct. I haven't spoken to you in a very long time, Clover. Or you, Junpei.
Junpei?
Akane, long time no see.
I could barely hear what they were saying. My mind was still reeling. It felt like all the air had been knocked out of me, and it was all I could do to not collapse right then and there.
When? How long?
Do you remember when the two of you saved me in the warehouse? Once you saved me, you went back to your future. Well, your minds did at least. I carried your bodies to the third AB room, and then took Dio's to the fifth. After that, I went into the first room and borrowed Kay's armor.
So by the time you and Clover came out, you'd already...
Yes.
Wait. That doesn't make any sense. Dio killed you, and the Luna took your body to the sixth room. You couldn't have been in Kay's armor.
No, it was me. In this timeline, at least. In this one, I wasn't murdered by Dio. You two saved me. It's just like Schrodinger's cat. Your actions in the future decided who would be inside the armor in the past.
What? No, that's nuts.
Alright, what about the other history? The one where you weren't saved. What happens then? Who's wearing the armor?
That's quite simple. The man in front of you.
Him?
That's correct. Whenever I'm not in the armor, he is.
What about the memory loss?
For my part, I confess that I lied. He, on the other hand, was telling the truth. Large doses of soporil can cause memory loss. I gave him a rather large dose.
So, who is he?
You've never seen him before?
No.
What about the rest of you?
I have no idea who he is.
I've never seen him before.
Me either.
Dun,
Total
dun, dun.
stranger.
Hey, come on. What are you guys saying? Right here? Same face?
Are you alright, Mr. Sigma? Did you hit your head or something?
What? It didn't make any sense. Why didn't they recognize me?
Sigma, your consciousness can jump through time. You can inhabit your body in the past or in the future.
What does that mean?
Don't you get it? You've jumped to the future. From 45 years ago.
I looked around frantically. A pond. I ran to it and threw myself down onto my knees. Crawling on all fours, I approached the edge. My heart was hammering inside my chest. A cold sweat trickled down my spine. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down, damn it. I struggled to take deep breaths. Then slowly, I peered into the pond looking for my reflection. What? No, this can't be real. This face.
It's your face, Dr. Sigma Climb. Although, to the you that's behind it now, it's your face 45 years from now. Zero, the mastermind of the AB project, is you.
What? No, that's not possible. That's bullshit.
No, it's the truth. Fighting it isn't going to do you any good. Please, Doctor.
I'm not a doctor.
You will be. A pioneer in the field of genetic engineering.
You're lying.
No, I'm not. You created him. Well, I suppose I should say you are going to create him.
Create?
His name is Kyle Climb, your clone. That is why he looks just like a younger version of yourself. 23 years ago, in the biolab here in Rhizome 9, you created Kyle. Well, I suppose for you, that's still in the future. When I said I was born and raised here, I was still pretending to be him. The gravity here is only 1/6 of Earth's. If nothing was done, the reduced gravity would cause his bones to be weaker than normal human ones. But you prepared for that. You gave him that armor. Ever since he was born, he's lived inside of it. It kept his muscles and bones strong. He wasn't forced into it for the Nonary game. He's been wearing it every day all his life.
But why would future me create a clone?
He was to be your spare. If something happened to you before the project began, he would take your place. I mentioned before that the AB projects A and B stood for after and before. That isn't all they mean, though. The A also means anima, and the B means body. Anima is another word for the soul, or the consciousness. Body is, well, exactly what it says on the tin. The past consciousness will go into the future body, and the future consciousness will go into the past body. They switch. That was the chief goal of the project.
Wait, so the future person goes into the past person?
Sigma, do you remember the note you found in the garden?
You mean this, right?
Yes. Ah, of course, it was you who investigated the garden in this timeline.
Yeah.
Sigma, take a good look at this. It's an illustration of the time jumps your consciousness is making. A is where everything began. December 25th, 2028. You inhaled the white smoke in your car and lost consciousness. From there, you jumped to B. January 25th, 2074. You woke up in one of the AB rooms in Rhizome 9. You are in your own body, but it is 67 years old. Your consciousness has jumped 45 years into the future. I believe that may explain why you didn't notice the reduced lunar gravity. The body you woke up in was much older. Normally, you would have noticed that your muscles were much weaker. In this case, however, the lower gravity balanced that out. Moving on. If you continue along this line, what happens next? You reach C, which is January 27th, 2074. That is today.
Whoa. Wait, what do you mean? Are you saying it's been 2 days since we woke up?
36 hours to be exact. Have you already forgotten? You were all infected with Radical 6. The virus slowed your brain down. So yes, 36 hours of real time have passed. But to you, it only seemed like 14 hours and 40 minutes. Now comes the important part. After this, your consciousness will return to the past. It will re-emerge at point D. April 13th, 2029. You will return to your younger body.
But that's the same day as the reactor explosions.
Yes. That is why I said it will be too late. You will return to the past, but the events you would want to prevent will have already happened. The story does not end there, however. The line continues. After reaching point D, you will eventually return to B. But this time, you won't be jumping through time, or at least not at a rate faster than normal. Your consciousness will spend 45 years inhabiting the same body until you reach point B. Do you remember when B is, Sigma?
January 25th, 2074. According to what you just told us, it's 36 hours ago.
Correct. That was when the consciousness of the 22-year-old Sigma jumped into the body of 67-year-old Sigma. So where did the older version of you go when you took his body?
Point A. December 25th, 2028. Day all of this started.
Yes. His consciousness will go back in time 45 years. For a period of time, he will inhabit your younger body. While your younger consciousness is elsewhere, he will be you in the past.
Once that body reaches point D, my 22-year-old consciousness will come back from point C.
That's correct. When that happens, the older version of you will be ejected from your younger body and return to your body at C.
So it's rotating?
Rotating. I suppose you could put it that way. But look at this illustration closely. What if you take all these lines and untangle them? You get one single line. It may look complicated, but in truth, it's a single straight path, with one exception.
This line here at point E, right?
Exactly. Point E is December 31st, 2028, the day of the total eclipse.
The day Radical 6 got out of the test facility.
Yes. By now, you've likely figured it out on your own. The purpose of the AB project was to get the consciousness of the 67-year-old Sigma from point B to point A. If we can do that, we can change what happened 45 years ago.
So the old version of me will keep Radical 6 from getting out? By jumping into my 22-year-old body on New Year's Eve 2028?
Yes. That is why this line could not be interrupted. In order for the 67-year-old version of you to reach point B, we first have to go through point D. In order to get to point D, we must jump from point C. And for point C to happen, we had to recreate everything that happened in this facility. That is why we have faithfully retraced history up to this point, so that we might save humankind from destruction and undo the horrors of the last 45 years.
Tell me one thing.
What is that?
You said that point C is January 27th, 2074, which is today. There's going to be a jump, and I'll jump to April 13th, 2029.
Yes, that's right.
But look, I'm still old. When is this jump supposed to happen?
Very soon.
Soon?
Yes.
And what's going to trigger it?
potential energy stored to send your consciousness into the 4th dimension. Fortunately, we now have plenty of that. Thanks, ironically, to Radical 6. All that remains is to launch your consciousness, like a bullet from a slingshot.
And how do you propose to do that?
Didn't I tell you? A crisis. A moment balanced between life and death. That can jumpstart your brain. You haven't figured it out. I mean this.
Dio's knife? No sooner were the words out of my mouth. Phi. I screamed and leapt toward them. Akane was already in motion, the knife diving toward Phi's chest. I was almost there. When I regained consciousness, I was on the floor. There was a dull pain in my chest. I felt for a cut, but something was in the way. It took me a moment to realize that it was Akane's body lying on top of me. I twisted my neck to look around. Nearby was an old tombstone. On it, written a few words in Latin. Tu fui, ego eris. What you are, I was. What I am, you will be. Myrmidons. Alright. A new destination has been added to the flowchart just in case you didn't want it to end right here. Yeah, I'm saving. I got the Phi ending. Oh boy. We got stuff. Lots of stuff. Even before. Headquarters, April 13th, 2029.
Today is April 13th, 2029, and this is the evening news. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I don't have any news to read. All of our station's reporters have passed after contracting Radical 6. So have my... Excuse me. I've managed to keep us on the air until now. But I'm out of tricks. It's time for me to sign off. This concludes our broadcast day. I pray that someday our world can be cleansed of this horrible plague. Goodbye.
For a moment, I just stared at the TV. The roar of the static seemed to fill the entire room until a click. With a click, it disappeared too. Had the power gone out? I heard footsteps behind me and then turned around. You. Akane?
It looks like the first step was successful.
What the fuck? You killed me.
Killed?
I guess technically you're going to kill me 45 years from now. Still.
Hey, no need to be rude about it. I didn't kill you. I hit you with the butt of the knife. You're fine.
I'm okay?
Yes. You and Phi needed to experience a state of crisis. That was the only way.
Me and Phi?
Yes. I only told you about you, but we also needed Phi to jump. Now, you know what happens next, right?
We go to the moon?
Correct. We will be leaving tomorrow, April 14th, 2029. We've nearly finished preparing your shuttle. Only a few last-minute checks and additions. You'll be traveling to Rhizome 9, along with 3 treatment pods.
Phi, Clover, and Alice. Alice and Clover, right?
Yes.
What about the third one? Who's in there?
Phi. We put her into cold sleep 2 days ago. She appeared at our headquarters and volunteered to be frozen. That wasn't the Phi who jumped from point C, though.
Hmm? Huh?
It was Phi before she jumped from point A to point D.
Wait, A to D?
In other words, she was following the same path you are. And she still is.
That means after you froze her, the point C version of her jumped back into her body?
Yes. The point C version of Phi is sleeping in that pod. She'll stay there for the next 45 years, sleeping in ice.
Then when she gets to point B, her consciousness will jump to point A, right?
Correct.
Huh. So that's why she didn't look old. So why don't you just stick me in one of those
We
pods?
can't do that.
Why not?
You haven't figured it out? You have to spend the next 45 years working on the AB project. After arriving at Rhizome 9, you must master genetic engineering and artificial intelligence programming, among other disciplines. Otherwise, you will be unable to create Kyle, Luna, and Lagomorph. And, of course, you will need to develop the chromatic doors and the bracelets. You will also be the person who summons Tenmyoji and Quark. Once you've completed all the preparations, then the project can actually begin. January 25th, 2074. You will defrost Phi and carry her to the third AB room. Once you've done that, the 22-year-old version of you from point A will force you out. And you'll just go back 45 years to your own body on December 25th, 2028.
And then I change history. Do you really think I can keep the virus from getting out?
You have to. If you don't, billions of people will die. Only you and Phi can save them.
What about you? Aren't you an Esper too?
I can't do anything on my own. If this is going to work, I'll need your help.
So what do I need to do?
What do you mean?
Like, what specific actions do I need to take? When Phi and I jump to point A, what are we going to do then?
Both enter the Mars mission test site.
And after that?
I don't know.
What?
I'm sorry. I really don't know anything about what happens in there. We don't know how the Radical Six escaped. We don't even know why it was there in the first place.
Oh crap. Then we're screwed.
That's why we need your help. You have the ability to jump through time and across parallel worlds. We need you to figure out what happened in that test facility. Things will be difficult, and I'm sure you will find yourself in a great deal of danger. But I believe the two of you can overcome any obstacle.
Wait, how do you know it's so dangerous?
The 67-year-old version of you told me what happened. He wasn't able to stop the virus. So I suppose you could say you told me after you failed.
What did I say?
The test facility is full of traps. There was one point, a woman's life was in danger.
When is it ever not?
You risked yourself for her sake, and lost your arms and your right eye.
My arms and my right eye? What the hell? Suddenly a low rumble shook the building. What was that?
Go have a look.
I moved slowly to the window and peered outside. On the horizon I could see a massive mushroom cloud climbing slowly toward the sky. Would we really be able to change the course of history? No, that was the wrong way to look at it. It couldn't be a question. I had to change history. We could save the world. I'm going to change history. I stared at the darkening skies above us and steeled myself. I would succeed. End or beginning? Fire and ice is the achievement I got. All right. So that is pretty much everything. All right, I am going to go ahead and stop the stream. I'll probably create a new stream to give my final thoughts about the game. I got to think about this for a little bit. And yeah, all right. I will take care. I'll see y'all next time. All right, bye.